Hey Flockers, this is Sarah.
And this is Jenny, and you are listening to Naked with Socks, a podcast where we
assess the mess with finesse. Welcome back, you guys. If you are here for our 4th episode, we are so excited because we have a
special guest appearance.
Yes, if you are watching, someone is sitting to my left here, and we are so excited to get to that. So get comfortable with us being vulnerable because your virtual besties are here.
Cheers.
Cheers.
You can cheers too.
Yeah.
Thanks. So Sarah, what is the purpose of today's podcast?
Purpose of today's podcast is a lot, but the biggest thing is that our first guest is here today, and we are so excited because we are going to talk about all things yoga, sound healing / therapy, and we cannot wait for you all to hear about this.
And we found the perfect person, let me tell you.
We really did.
Tiffany, I guess we could just introduce you now.
Well,
I can't wait.
So how did you meet Tiffany?
Okay, so I met Tiffany through Titanium Yoga, but Tiffany is also a regular at the bar that we basically live at.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Tiffany, welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We're so happy to have you here. Yeah.
Right?
So, Jenny, what are we drinking?
Well, we made this cocktail for Tiffany, even though Tiffany's a vodka drinker and a beer drinker. I made a bourbon cocktail because
It's great though.
Yeah, okay. So our Flocktail today is inspired by Tiffany because Tiffany drinks
Cheers to Tiffany.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Which we'll get her feedback here in a minute. So I wanted to do like a honey bourbon orange smash kind of cocktail. We used 4 roses, bourbon, an orange liqueur, some honey, fresh oranges, and OJ. To make this semi-folly Tiffany-inspired drink, which is why we're going to call it the Tiffany.
The Tiffany.
Now, Tiffany, from a girl who drinks vodka and beer, how do you feel about this bourbon smash?
I will say I don't like dark liquor, and it's actually really good.
Oh,
so I like
okay.
it. Yeah. The first sip was a little jarring, but it's warming. I'm warming up to it.
Yeah, the more you drink it, the easier it gets.
Or I'm just getting drunk.
Yeah,
Either
that's
or.
what I mean.
Okay, it's that time.
Would you rather go first?
I'll go first. I guess I'll go first. Okay. Would you rather only use mascara that's been shared with 5 other people, or use dirty makeup brushes that haven't been washed in a year?
Do I know the people? Like, I don't know.
There's so many questions.
Here's the thing. Mine probably have not been washed in a year.
I'm going to go with the brushes.
Yeah, brushes.
Like,
I'm sure 5 people have used my mascara in a year.
like, yeah.
Maybe not, actually.
I would, if I knew the person and it was like, would I use their makeup brush? Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
Okay. Well, if you've used mine.
Okay.
I
I've already done.
You've already done it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Should
Do
we?
you wash your makeup brushes?
I just buy new ones.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't have time for this.
I bought
And
like
they have to dry, and then you're like, fuck, you
I'm
have to
too
plan it
impatient.
out. Okay.
Jenny, tell us yours.
Would you rather have your entire lifetime of experiences converted into a movie that you can watch whenever you want to remember them, or your life turned into a book that can be read and interpreted by everyone?
I think I'd go with a book.
I was just going to say the same thing. Honestly, I don't want to relive a lot of things in my life, so I would rather just have other people read it and interpret it for themselves.
Well, like, what would I even do with that movie? Like,
why would I want to watch it? Yeah, I don't.
What a long movie.
I know. Why would I waste my own time watching myself in a, like, I don't know.
So I
could
can
be a whole
relive
Netflix
every embarrassing
series.
moment I've ever had in my life. Like,
Yeah,
wow.
no.
Now
Oh,
instead
God.
of staying up until midnight thinking about it, I can rewatch it.
Honey, put on the show. What about you, Tiffany? Do you have one?
Yes.
Are you ready?
Okay. Would you rather find your passion or the love of your life?
Oh, shit.
I feel like I have found the love of my life. So if I say that one, that would be that.
What if I found the love of my life while I was if you have to choose? God,
Yeah.
you have to choose one. Okay. I would say the love of my life, because then I could do life with someone and we can find a passion together.
Oh, that's a great answer. I was being really selfish and thinking passion. So,
Bye.
you're done.
You're done.
Good question.
What would your answer be?
I would have said passion, yeah.
Yes, see? So let's dive into getting to know Tiffany and why she is sitting here tonight in the podcast room.
Yes.
We love her. We've had a few drinking experiences. We've had some yoga experiences. She's definitely one of our humans, and we thought she'd be perfect, and you guys would love to hear from her. So tell us about yourself. A little backstory, history, what got you into yoga, what you're doing now.
Yeah, so I am currently the manager of Titanium Yoga. I got my 200-hour yoga certification about 5 years ago, and then I've been doing sound therapy for probably 2 years now. So my whole journey into this field was very random.
What kind of got you into, like, what made you decide I want to be a yoga teacher?
So I had met a girl through my husband. It was a coworker of his, and we met at a bar, and so many bar friends.
I know. Gosh, there's a behavior pattern here.
Never ever has a story ever started with someone and you meeting with a salad.
Right? Like,
everything
would be like, we met at the library.
Yeah, no.
We met while I was eating my salad. Right. Like, no, we had drinks and we met.
We were meditating together. No, it was very random. So we met, and I remember hanging out with her, and I just remember thinking, like, I can't see myself being friends with this person. She was a yoga instructor, and I was like, you're way too zen for me. Like, this isn't going to work. And then she, like, called me later and was like, let's hang out. And I was like, okay.
Yeah, I need some more zen friends. Okay.
So we ended up hanging out and became, like, really good friends. She would probably laugh about this story. And she was a yoga instructor, and she was like, you should sign up for teacher training. And I was like, well, I like to be active. I mean, that'll be cool. Just work out. Like, that'll be great. I had no idea. I'd probably taken like 2 yoga classes my whole entire life, and I signed up for Baptiste yoga, which is a very vigorous, challenging power style of yoga, and they love self-work, and I had never done anything like that.
Now, what do you mean by self-work?
So, like, doing the work, like doing self-inquiry, getting to know yourself, journaling, questions, kind of.
Like, that's something
like,
we
it's
all
like a
need
whole
to do.
segment
It's a whole
of their,
thing.
yeah.
Wow,
It's like a huge part of their training. It's very like, why are you the way that you are? What triggers you? Like,
I feel like we
working
both need
through
that.
things. Like, it's literally like yoga therapy. And I had never done anything like that. And I remember, like, my first week, I was like, what in the F? Like,
am I doing?
And I got halfway through, and I remember thinking, like, these people are the weirdest people I've ever met in my whole life. I hate this more than anything. I was so, like, such a hard no. And I went up to one of the, like, the leaders, and they were like, give it one more week. And I was like, no, I'm done. This is stupid. I hate this.
So you were training at this time?
Yeah. She was like, give it one more week. And I was like, okay. So I remember, like, driving home, and I was like, I'm going to really do this. I was like, I'm going to be weird with these people, and I'm just going to do the things, and I'm just going to do it next weekend. And I remember going and just, like, letting go of all my resistance and being like, no.
The
and I was
path
just
to
like,
least
yes.
Abraham Hicks.
Yeah. And that's when I, like, really fell in love with the practice, with everything that they were doing. I was like, okay, maybe
it's
these
like
people aren't so
you
weird.
let go of your ego.
Yeah.
That was what was holding you back. And then when you did, you were, like, able to finally, like, come into it.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Put
And
that
the
on our
work's hard.
resources.
Like, that's why I feel like a lot of people avoid it. And they, like, you know, just like I did. I was like, this is stupid. I hate these people. Like, I hate
The
this practice.
self-reflection.
It's all, I don't
Yeah.
want to say taboo, but it's almost like Todd would make fun of me if I did that.
Mhm.
Or like people hear yoga or they hear sound therapy or that kind of thing. And there's almost like a,
Yeah,
oh,
and I have a
you're-
question for that later, so we'll
It's
get
like
there.
scary
We'll
to get to, like, know yourself, too.
Yeah.
oh, it's terrifying.
And it's uncomfortable. It's
Yeah.
insanely uncomfortable.
Well,
Yeah.
and that's kind of why we do the podcast, because we are definitely putting ourselves out there and not only getting to know ourselves, but other people are getting to know us and
Yeah.
having a relatable experience.
Mhm.
Anyway, okay.
Sorry.
Back to your story. Then you got into sound therapy.
Yeah, so about 2 years ago, I've always struggled really bad with anxiety. Something that I've, like, had pretty much my whole life. And I remember being, like, at an all-time high. Like, I was just, like, so anxious. I just remember it was, like, probably, like, the lowest of my lows. And I found this girl on Instagram, the Copper Vessel, and she does sound therapy.
We'll link her.
Yeah, I'm taking all the notes.
And I
Okay.
started watching her videos, doing her sound baths virtually, and I was like, this is really helpful. I had such bad anxiety at the time that I couldn't even meditate. Like, my brain was just going a million different directions, even though I had a meditation practice. And that's what kind of got me to a place where I was like, okay, I can breathe. Like, I'm okay. Like, it's not as bad as I'm making this out to be. And it gave my mind something to anchor to while still being within myself and relax. And I just kept watching the videos, and I just really fell in love with it. And like you kind of said, like, I can't do something without being a part of it. So
You just gotta go all in.
Right.
Like,
So I was like, okay, I'm gonna, like, look more into this. So I got, the sound therapy has, like, many different modalities. There's bowls, there's chimes, there's gongs. Your voice is a healing instrument. And I got a bowl off of Amazon. It was my first bowl. And I was like, I really love this. And then I got another bowl, and then I had 3 bowls. And I
now
remember,
you just have a collection
Right.
of all these bowls.
Okay, I have to do a testimony here because I took one of your sound healing bath classes and it was amazing. Like, first of all, I walked in and I had reserved my spot, but there was almost nowhere to, like, set up. Like, the room was packed, and it was men, women, like, everyone. There was no, like, specific type of person in there. It was all different kinds of people, and I had to, like, set up on the side because I was like, damn.
you're, like, the best spot. You're right up front.
I did.
Everybody
I did.
avoids the front row, and you got the great
I
Sit
spot.
right next to the teacher.
Teacher's pet. If that
We
gives
are
you any
teacher's
implication
pet.
as to who I am as a person, I was that person in the front. But yeah, so I remember you kept saying, okay, repeat after me 3 times. Don't fall asleep. Don't fall asleep. Don't fall asleep. And like, I'm like, I'm not going to fall asleep. Like, my brain is like brrr all the time. But it got me into such a mode of relaxation. And I was having, and I like how I think you said something along the lines of like, not anything that you feel while you're in here isn't negative or bad, or it's just, or good. It just is what it is, basically, is what you were saying.
Yeah.
And, you know,
You're just accepting emotion.
exactly. And while I was in the class, I was having like flashbacks of all these like my childhood, like good moments and stuff. And like,
Oh, wow.
it was really a good experience for me because, you know, the last 4 years I've gone through a lot of trauma, and that was the first time for me that I was able to lay down and do something like that and like not have like PTSD basically.
Mm-hmm.
I was able to just sit there and like relax and remember like good little blips in my life. So it was like, it was healing. It was a good experience. Like, I left and I felt good and I felt calm, and but yeah, I haven't told you that yet, but yeah.
I love that you shared that too. And I wanna touch on multiple things, but I'm just gonna fast forward through the end of so basically I am a level 2 certified sound therapist. That basically means like I've had like over 200 something hours of training in sound therapy. It's so much more than just like smacking bowls and hitting gongs.
Tiffany's not a weirdo. We would not hang out with a weirdo. She's cool as fuck.
I know a lot of people think I'm like
She will stay at your house till 4 in the morning playing
2 in the morning
adults games.
It wasn't
2 a.m. She's a cool ass chick.
Yeah.
And she has this amazing superpower, and I'm so excited. Okay, go on.
So yeah, there's a lot that goes into sound therapy too. It's just, I mean, there's so much science behind it, and if you want, I can talk about that too. But kind of what you were speaking to about your experience, I feel like we all have trauma, and we just hold it and experience it in different ways. And it's not, I know sometimes people hear like, I don't have trauma, and it's not a trauma competition. Like, it's not who has the most extreme amount of trauma.
Yeah.
Like, we all have trauma, and that could be a car accident, it can be physical, it can be mental. Like, you were rejected as like a childhood friend. It's like little things are traumatic.
Your perspective,
yeah, it doesn't have to be some huge giant thing like you see in the movies or whatever. Like, we all hold and experience trauma differently, and how our bodies hold that tension varies from person to person. Like, our issues are in our tissues. Like, our body holds, experiences it, and if we aren't able to express that or let things go, then it just like builds and builds, and it turns into disease and pains and all kinds of things that build up.
Anxieties.
Yeah, and how you had said that you had a, like, you had experienced a lot of trauma in the last year, and you were able to experience like good memories in the sound bath. And I think, like, my interpretation of that is that you were releasing maybe some stuck energy, and your body knew that you needed good memories to heal, so that's what it brought you. And it's different for everybody.
That is so cool.
So what you're saying about trauma is funny, because Sarah and I talk about our traumas, basically. It's the whole purpose of the podcast. But her trauma is completely different than my trauma. So, like, when we talk about our experiences, these are things that impacted our life that are completely different. It was like, I was raised in this non-conventional parenting home, and she was raised in a very religious home. We both experienced trauma because you experience it in your own way. And the first time I took one of your yoga classes, I literally bawled my eyes out at the end. Like, you're like laying there in Savasana or whatever, and I just remember like tears. It was like silent crying. And it was, you said you're very good at setting your intention for the yoga class, and the intention was like being kind to yourself. That is traumatic for me, like, to think about, because you're like, and this is before I knew you, and you're like, you have, think of 3 things that you love about yourself. Or I think I called you after this class. Or
we talked about it.
Think of like 3 things that you love about yourself. And I just cried because I couldn't think of literally one thing after like laying there. And I was just like, oh my gosh. And just, it gives you this whole mindset of like the healing and you were the one that brought up, trauma is stored in your body. And a lot of, I've been reading, is like trauma in your hips and things, and you mean certain things. And I'm like, Sarah, you need to do yoga with me. Like, I called her up this house. I'm like, you need to do yoga. We got trauma in our body. That's where all our trauma is. And so Sarah signed up for yoga. And then next thing I know, Sarah's doing sound baths without me. So
you were working, okay?
Whatever, that's where we're at, okay? That was my experience, my first class with Tiffany. I bawled my eyes out because I was like, I can't think of anything nice. And you even said, like, not things other people would say about you. Like, what do you love about yourself? And I was just like, can't say I'm a good mom, not really a good mom. Like, can't say I'm a good
You are.
Couldn't think of anything nice. And that was very
funny how like hardware, not funny, but
yeah.
I mean, it is.
Well, it's like, it explains, why there's so much trauma stored in your body. And yoga is so freaking good for that. And then you got to do the sound healing. I did sound therapy once in Fresno in California. My roommate was really into it, and I absolutely love her. I talk about her randomly all the time.
Shout out to Amber. Okay.
She's
talked about a lot on here.
Did you ever listen to Abraham Hicks?
I don't think so.
We'll have to.
That's a whole episode.
That's a TAWE.
But she's told me you need to go to sound therapy. But she used the tongues. She used I don't know.
Tuning forks?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay. So I'm sure you know all about that. Kind of explain that, and then she put like rocks and did the tongues, and I just remember seeing colors and seeing a lot of colors. And what's interesting is I haven't seen or felt anything like that until recently when I started doing yoga again at Titanium with you guys. And now when I close my eyes, I'm seeing colors again. And I was like, oh, this is so exciting. Like, I know I'm getting somewhere, certain songs. But anyways, tuning forks? You like bowls? What's the difference?
Yeah,
Explain.
Yeah, what do all the different, can you kind of explain all the different tools used in sound therapy?
Yeah, so what I have a tuning fork. So just because you touched on that first, tuning forks are a really great form of sound healing. Usually they're used for one-on-one sessions because tuning forks aren't loud. There's different kinds of tuning forks. So there's weighted tuning forks, and then there's a regular tuning fork. With a regular tuning fork, you kind of like a hockey puck, and you hit it, and you would take it to people's ears. And it's something you can't hear from far away, but if you put it up to your ears, it creates frequencies and vibrations that you can hear.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And then weighted tuning forks, they have, I think there's all, like I could talk for an hour about all different ones, but they have like an end to it. You can actually give a sonic massage. So when you hit the end of the tuning fork, because it's kind of like a prong with a long stick at the end. That's probably not a great explanation, but the stick at the end, you can put it on people's bodies, and it actually like vibrates still and creates kind of like a sonic massage. It's like very targeted.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So if you're having like injuries, things like that, that's really helpful.
Salo Stanley, I will link her. She did my first sound therapy, and then she did bowls at the end.
Yeah.
So yeah, go into why the bowls.
So I think that every practitioner and every instructor kind of has a different relationship with different sounds. It's really funny because sometimes people really want to know like why, and I totally get that because I'm that way too. But I feel that we just have different experiences to different sounds, and there's no rhyme or reason, and there's things in this world that we can't explain and put labels on, and sometimes we just kind of have to accept that. There's not always a why to why one sound made you cringe, and one sound Jenny was like, oh my god, that was amazing.
Orgasmic.
Yeah.
Okay.
And a lot of times I tell people too is yes, I'll use that in my next label.
Orgasmic.
An orgasmic sound.
You're gonna have a mind orgasm right now. So
Great.
Do that with your next advertising.
we'll get you a logo. Don't worry.
Perfect. The sound orgasm.
Yeah. The sound orgasm.
Soundgasm.
Sure.
Soundgasm, guys.
Look at this marketing happening.
Look at this branding.
No, but my point, you made me think of, right? It kind of, sound therapy gets this like little bit of like a taboo to it, like it's weird, but it's not, because think about every person likes a different type of music. Everyone likes music.
Oh, I'm such a music
and
nude.
No matter who you are or how non-traditional you are or how traditional you are, no matter whatever you are, you like music, and it does something to you, and it gets you into a certain mood, and it gets you, you know what I'm saying? And that's almost it's a type of therapy. So it makes sense why certain vibrations and
affect people differently.
Notes that you get to, like it makes sense why someone would be more attracted to a certain tone than the other person would be. But at the same time, my point is, it makes sense why sound therapy is beneficial. Yeah, and sound therapy isn't a new thing. It's kind of been branded that way in recent years in Western culture, but sound's been used for thousands and thousands of years. Like, sound is used to signify war, celebration, communication. I mean, think about like drums.
Gongs.
Yeah, they've been around for thousands of years, and it's just like I feel like it's just coming around the Western world where it's not so like, that's woo-woo, that's weird.
Holistic medicine is popular now.
Yeah. But I also there's a lot of new research behind it too, which fascinates me beyond belief. Like, I totally believe that there's things in this world we can't explain or understand, but the fact that our Western minds are like, let's put science behind this is just amazing. It's been used a lot in chemotherapy as a complementary therapy for patients going through chemo.
That's so cool.
Mm-hmm. And then it's been used in children that have autism to better help them regulate and express their emotions. Elderly people with dementia. It's really taken off in the medical field.
That's really cool.
Yeah, and it bowls, gongs, all the things.
Well, a lot of things have taken off in the medical field, and we're just gonna...
that's a whole other topic.
That's a whole episode.
That's a talk.
So that's what we're here for. We're exploring alternative medicine, and this is a type of therapy that Sarah's been able to experience. I've experienced. I haven't done one of yours. I'm very excited to do one of yours now.
Yes.
Do you do like one-on-one sessions? So if someone wanted to do a one-on-one, so say we have a mom listening and she's like, I think I need to try this, or I don't know what's wrong with me. Like how, like where
someone that's dealing with depression
start?
or something, how could they find this type of therapy?
So there is one-on-one sessions. I think you have to find the right person. I truly believe that it's important to find people that are qualified, not being like, I'm the only one that you can go to in Jacksonville. But I think a lot.
I'm extremely, yes.
No, but I definitely...
Qualification, training, experience. And you have to be the right match for that person.
You have to, the education is important in anything that you do. So I'm not going to go to someone that's just like, I got bowls and I'm going to like,
right.
I'd rather go to the person that went and studied and educated themselves and has certifications and can kind of tailor that therapy session to me.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Is that something people should watch out for? Like if they're like, oh, I'm going to try this sound.
Yeah, I think that's with anything. You should always ask people, like, what are your qualifications? What training have you had? How long have you been doing this? Like, what are people's experiences? Do you have reviews? I think that's important. I've heard a lot of feedback that people that have been to my sound baths said they've gone to others. Not everybody, there are other people in Jacksonville and, all over the country, the world that are amazing at this. But they've said they've gone to other people and it was really abrasive and loud and it was terrible. And they were very hesitant to come to mine. And they were like, but we've heard great things. So we came. And
I will testify for...
What about online stuff? So you said you started with some online therapies.
Yeah.
Do you feel like that's helpful? Or?
Yeah, I think you can definitely, I think it's a different experience. So being in person with the bowls, you actually feel those vibrations.
That's what I'm wondering, because I feel like it's a different experience. Like the feeling and the entire ambiance of everything, it would almost be better.
I think
you
get some of the benefits online, but I think you get more out of being in person. So our bodies are like 80-something% water, and water is a great conduit for sound to travel. So you're not just hearing the sounds; they're actually traveling through your body. And when you're in person, it like resonates at a different level.
Oh, 100%. Mm-hmm. So I love that you're very analytical about things. Like you like your research and you like your data. I have my background in behavior analysis, and all decisions are made very data driven. Anything with less than 5 years research, I'm like, I don't touch it. I don't want it. And that's how I basically convince teachers or staff or therapists that I'm training. Look at this research. Hey, let me send you an article. Hey, let me send you some data. Or you don't believe me, you don't believe the words coming out of my mouth, or you don't have the buy-in or people to understand. That's kind of my go-to, for sure, is to be like, here's the science, or here's the information. So whatever information you have that we can link and incorporate, I would love to do that, because that is exactly where my brain goes to, where you're like, oh, this feels good and this is nice. Oh, there's research?
Right.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes.
What about with both yoga and sound therapy? Is it good for people with PTSD? Any type of
What research is out there?
Yeah.
Yeah, so a funny story. I actually have my master's in business, so that's kind of like where my analytical brain comes from.
Perfect.
And I just know how my brain works and how it worked before I started all this. So I'm like, whatever I can do to just like pull people in the door. Like, I think it's a great way for people that are hesitant to see actual science and research and numbers. And there's so much of it out there. I'm trying
Opinions are everywhere. People all can shove stuff down your throat. But when you have the science or the research or the data behind it, that's so much more
appealing
and not, for people that are out there searching for alternative medicines or alternative therapies or things that just aren't taking antidepressant or doing the work, the self-healing, the self-awareness.
I feel like these things are you're having to be more active about your mental health, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you would say someone that has any type of mental illness, this would be something that either both yoga or sound therapy would be healing for them.
Yeah, I think that it is, for some people, a great form of therapy, and for other people, it's a great complementary therapy.
Okay.
I don't think it replaces talk therapy, and for some people, I think they do need medication. Like, I'm not saying
absolutely.
like this replaces
Chemical
anything.
imbalance and all that.
But like I was talking about earlier, people that are going through chemotherapy, they're using it in hospital settings to help reduce pain, because when we are fully relaxed, when we're fully relaxed, our immune system starts to function at higher levels, and B, if you're in chronic pain and you allow yourself to relax, that can reduce your level of pain.
Okay.
So that's a great way to...
I've even heard of it for like terminally ill patients, just being able to accept what's coming.
Because it's not always about healing. Sometimes it's just about accepting. The situation that you're in. Yeah.
And there's been a lot of like research and background and just that. Just coming to acceptance, which, God, can you imagine if we just did acceptance therapy? Like, everyone needs that, not with just dying, but with dealing with your emotions. Or like you said,
you can't change what's happened to you.
You're saying you didn't realize you couldn't label emotion. So in my job, I work with a lot of kids with developmental disabilities, specifically autism, where they can't label emotions. I didn't know that until I was in my master's degree program, like learning about emotions. I'm like, oh crap, like I didn't learn any of this when I was a kid. And that's a huge thing. Being able to just identify what's going on in your brain. Mm-hmm. And that's really cool that you said that and mentioned that. So it's like, that's not a skill people are just born with. You have to learn how to identify your own emotions.
Right.
Work through those.
And I think that's like the first step in creating healing too. You have to know what you're feeling and going through in order to acknowledge it and create awareness too.
Yeah. Ask Tiffany a few questions and then we'll let her give us her takeaway for today. Tiffany, what is a misconception with yoga that you want to like kind of clear the air on?
So there are two things.
Okay.
The first is that yoga is for women. And I 110% disagree with that statement. I know a lot of men come in and they're like, this is a woman's activity. There's like, it's only for women. And I've had men come into my class and think that it was going to be so easy. I've had Jaguar players come into my class and they have been humbled.
Yeah.
Yes. I don't think they realize that you're moving your body. I don't care how much you work out. If you've never done yoga before, it's going to be freaking hard. Like, you're moving your body in different ways. And there's so many different styles of yoga too. So it's also about finding like your teacher and your style of yoga. But I would definitely tell men, come with your spouses, come by yourself. Like, this is for everybody and anybody.
The biggest thing I think for men, like I think about Todd and myself, which I had to get over the hurdle. It's not a competition.
Right.
You're in there
for yourself.
Yeah, you're in there, and it's not like at the gym where you're looking around like, oh, I have to get 250 curls or whatever, you know, the weight or whatever.
250 curls right now.
But wait, you know what I mean? Or I can bench press, or I can
bench press 300
or whatever it is. It's
right.
not a competition. And that was really hard for me in yoga to come in and be like, God damn, I can't do this. But the girl next to me can stretch way better. But it's a self journey.
It's like you kind of cut everyone else out and it's just you.
Right.
And even if you can't even like touch your toes and you're here and you're sweating and you're in pain, like that's progress. Like just being able to like accept where you are, and I think that's
and you said there was a second one that you said.
Yeah, kind of like how you were saying, when people say, I'm not flexible, so I can't do yoga, I always tell people, so if you're dirty, do you not shower? Like, that doesn't make any sense. Like,
oh, I love it. If you're
flexible.
dirty, you don't shower.
Like, you come to yoga to get flexible, and you come to get stronger. It's not you walk in, like, when I took my first yoga class, I was a hot mess. I was sweating. I was dying. I hated every moment of it. I couldn't do any of it. And it took time. And there's still things I can't do. But
I think that's hard for people that want that instant,
right.
You know, as a personal trainer, I've dealt with that. People that want to come in and, like, 3 weeks later want to look a certain way, and it's like, this takes time. This will take months, maybe years.
I struggle with that. I'm like, I want to be able to do this freaking pose, and I can't do it. I'm not even close. You have to.
And I love the saying that it's a yoga practice, not a yoga perfect. So it's it takes time.
You're full of all the great little
yes.
one-liners. I can make 100 T-shirts off our conversation tonight.
Okay, moving on to sound healing. What's a misconception with that you kind of want to talk about?
I think we kind of touched on it with your upbringing, that people think it's very woo-woo and out there.
Witchcraft.
Yes.
Witchcraftery.
And it's not. I just like to tell people, like, just think of it like going to an orchestra. You're just laying down. You're listening to music.
It's a great,
An orchestra, not even therapy. I like how you. Yeah.
It's just. It's
and I will tell you, I've been to that you mentioned an orchestra. I went to an opera. Probably almost close to 10 years ago. And I remember I got emotional because you're just watching this person being able to like sing a certain way, and there's passion, and you're like,
you're feeling
it, and you're feeling how amazing they are at what they're doing, and it makes you emotional. It does. So I get how you would say kind of that's how you would
sounds really powerful. If you think about like your favorite song, or Rain on a Tin Roof, or vice versa, like Traffic or Nails on a Chalkboard, like one instantly is like ha, and the other one's like ugh. Like you can just like what it feels like to hear both of those sounds.
I'm one of those people, if I'm like in a mood or I'm set on something, I'll listen to the same song 17 times.
Over.
Yeah. Just so either it didn't hurt enough the first time, I need to hurt more, or I'm just you feel so passionate about it. I can't imagine like being in a Zen situation, or like, what do you tell people that are like their first time, they're coming in, and like what to expect?
So kind of like how she had said, I always tell people that there is no good or bad emotion. It's just emotion. Like, it's part of being human, and that's the beautiful thing about it. We like to label things like being angry is bad, being sad is bad, being happy is good, that kind of thing. And it's like, no.
Toxic positivity.
Yeah. Like, all emotions are just emotions.
Yeah.
One time I had a girl come in, and she was like, I felt really angry. Like, I had a bad experience. I was like, why is that bad that you were angry? And she's like, well, I'm not supposed to feel angry. I was like, what are you supposed to feel? And she was like, well, I don't know. I was like, well, I don't know either.
Maybe she needed to feel that anger.
We shove everything down so far. Like, sometimes when you're in a setting, and with sound therapy, some people do sing in their sessions, but I don't sing. It's just sound. I'll guide a little bit, but most of it is just the instruments. So I think that gives space to just kind of have your own experience without a kind of guiding force. I mean, music makes us feel a certain way. Like, if you listen to a rap song, it kind of makes you like get like pumped and kind of
you feel kind of hyphy, a little dirty.
You listen to Adele, and you're like, okay, I'm gonna go cry in my room for 5 hours now.
Yeah.
Like, words can elicit certain emotions within us. So with sound therapy, it's kind of like a baseline for sound, and your just like natural raw emotion to come up, like being with your own experience without that influence of words.
I have a side question. So you did the group sound therapy or group sound, is that a sound bath? Is sound bath different from a sound therapy session, or?
So sound therapy is the same thing. Most people don't understand what sound therapy is, so we kind of call it a sound bath because that's the more Western label of it.
Okay.
But sound therapy, I like to use the word sound therapy because I feel it's more official, and it creates a kind of like a little nest of a word for this is more than just you laying here. And sometimes I've had a lot of people ask me, like, are we gonna get wet? No, you are not
Gonna get what? I'm sorry. Again, back to the orgasmic experience here.
Wet soundgasm.
Are we gonna get wet? Hashtag sunbath. I like it. Again, another t-shirt idea. So we're staying dry, and you're doing therapy. But it's their own therapy, which is hard because you talk about guided therapy, or you go to therapy, you go into a session or counseling or whatever. It's different. It's your own self-awareness.
And it's kind of like a form of therapy in its own. Like, I'm not healing you. Sometimes that's why I don't like using the word sound healing, because it makes me sound like I'm some magician and I'm going to heal all your problems, and that's not it at all.
Okay.
I'm just facilitating a space for you to do your own healing. Yeah. It's kind of just like if you go to therapy, your therapist isn't healing you. You're doing the work. They're just kind of guiding you in certain directions. And that's how I feel about a sound therapy session or a sound bath. Like, I'm playing the instruments in certain ways based off my intuition and my training. And it's just to help you, guide you where you need to go in the moment. And it's not, I'm taking you there.
The hardest thing, like you were saying, is letting go of all of the other, to just walk in the door and do it. And letting go of, Jesus is the healer. Or,
and even like
or
the
Western medicine, or this or that, or the stigma of it, and just being able to.
Yeah, I mean, I've definitely moved past that, where I'm at now in my journey in life, but I think it's hard now to like let go of the to-do list of like all the things I need to do. I forgot to do. I got to do at work. I didn't respond to that email. It's like you go in there, you just have to let all of that go for an hour, and just it's just you.
Well, and I think what I've learned from yoga, from what you have taught me in titanium, I feel like I've taught, it's just setting an intention for when you go into your therapy or whatever it is, and focusing on that. So one thing, if I get sidetracked and I start thinking about emails or behaviors or clients or work or this or that, my mantra I always is like, strong mind, strong body, strong mind, strong body, and like, strong is the new skinny. And just like go through all these little, one-liners. Do you have any like one-liners that you like, or mantras or intentions that you feel are really powerful for?
Well, like I said, I really struggle with anxiety, and it's something that's like an everyday occurrence for me. So a lot of the times, like, I like to take a step back and just tell myself, like, it's not as bad as you think it is.
Yeah.
Like, that's like a great thing for me to, and then I like am able to step back and be like, okay, it's not as bad as I think it is.
Yes. Last question we have for you, Tiffany, what makes you feel inspired or like your best self?
I think that hanging out with people that are strong and confident, like people like you guys, inspire me. Like, I really feel like I feed off of other people's energy. Like, it's great to be surrounded by people that are supportive and confident and kind, and I think that's a huge influence. That saying, I think it's like the 3 people that you spend the most amount of time with are basically like a collectively like you as a person, and I truly believe that.
Yeah.
So I try and like surround myself with good people. I think that's really important.
Look at Tiffany, just reining it in, volunteers.
I think it is so important though. Like, check yourself, check your friends. Like, like if you want to be a certain way, like look at your friends. Like, who
does
are you
this count for your
yourself?
spouse?
Yes.
Perfect.
It does. And then also, like, I love
if my 2 best friends love yoga and then my 1 best friend doesn't, how does that work?
My husband hates yoga, so it's totally
perfect. Okay, so it's like
so they can hang out.
Yeah, he's very supportive, but he hates it.
Awesome. It's a huge testimony to Titanium Yoga and your instructors and how amazing you guys are and how good you guys make people feel. It's not just like, well, okay, we're going in and getting our stretches or exercises, or okay, we're took a yoga class, we're healing. Like, it's legitimate therapy in there.
Yeah, it's great. We're going to wrap this up, but before we do, we want to ask you, Tiffany, what, as your takeaway for today's episode, which has been
certified sound healer, therapist. What's therapist?
She's a certified sound therapist and a certified yoga teacher. And did you win 904?
I did.
Yeah. Okay, so can you kind of brag about yourself?
Please brag about yourself. We bragged about you all night.
This isn't awkward at all.
We don't care. Go ahead.
Yeah, so last year I won #1 yoga instructor in the 904.
Look at that. We're just drawn to you. No wonder. We're like, we need help.
So FYI, we have the best yoga teacher in Jacksonville, St. Augustine area here.
She is a hot mess.
So are we.
So are we. You're welcome here.
Assess the mess with finesse, because we look like we have it together, but really we were like,
we are a shit show.
Marco Poloing each other 8 a.m. like, fuck my life.
I look disgusting, but here I am.
Sometimes I like to tell my husband, I'm like, I'm like a shit show on fire. Like, it's
yes,
it's a lot happening.
I cut a hot mess express, and I do like the train emoji with the fire. Like, the train is on fire, and we're just rolling.
Just going with it.
So we have a lot of t-shirt ideas after this. Maybe that's our new branding. It's just like a train with a fire. It's like, Megan with socks. Here we come.
Show express.
See, we find our people. We attract.
We do. Okay, so yeah, what do
Back to our takeaway. What's your
yes,
takeaway?
Your takeaway. But if someone that's listening today, maybe they have had zero experience with sound therapy, or they've had a little bit of dabbling in yoga, or maybe they've done both of those. For those two different type of people, what would you want them to take away from today?
Yeah, I would say go to the yoga class, go to the sound therapy session. If you've been and you didn't like it, go to somebody else, try it again.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's so many different people out there. You will find your instructor. You just have to find them. So I would say as the takeaway to go to the yoga class, go to the sound therapy session. If you've been and you didn't like it, go to another one, try somebody else out. And if you've never been, go. Your first yoga class is probably going to suck. I can tell you that right
awkward.
off the bat. But come again and again and again. And I promise you, these modalities are life-changing. They've changed my life. I've watched them change hundreds of people's lives. There's really something to be said about it. And it's something that if you try it and don't like it, there's no harm, no foul. So my philosophy is always, why not?
Yeah, that's great.
I love why not.
And being someone that hates stretching, wants to just get in there and get my workout in and get done and go on with my life.
Sarah's like a checklist when I work out with Sarah. She's like, we do this, cardio, this, we're good. Cheers, protein, let's go. I'm like, fuck, I need... Okay, which is great when you're trying to get in shape, but you have to slow down sometimes.
That was my point. Is it does. It makes you slow down. It makes me take the time to stretch my body, and I need that.
To listen to your body and to release your trauma in your tissues.
Because, honey, it lives in my back and my hips. I took her class yesterday. She was like, are there any areas you guys want to focus on? I was like, lower back, always. I'm here. That one.
Hip openers, please.
Low
open
back
those
and
hips.
Those are always
the guy said shoulders, and I was like, oh, no, back. I don't want to do shoulders. Boo.
No one asked you.
When she asked everyone in class, she was speaking to me particularly about my healing
She looked
process.
directly at me. Please be quiet.
I don't care what your healing is. My healing is...
I'm sorry, did you invite her on your podcast? I don't think so.
That's why I love yoga. Because you can do whatever the fuck you want. And that's my favorite part is like, whether it's in your practice or not, you can try this or this and that. I'm like, not in my practice.
And I love that you say you're the guide. You're not... if there's a stretch or a move, you don't tell everyone that they have to do it. It's more like, I'm here as your guide.
Everyone tried dancing dolphin right now. No, there's none of that. half the time I'm like, I don't know what they're talking about.
And I feel like you have to find your teacher too. I think that's
Yes.
really important. You have to find the instructors that work for you.
I can say even at Titanium, there are instructors where I'm like, about to sign up, nope. And instructors are like, yes. And that's what I like how you said, go to the first class. If you don't like it, try a different person.
You got to
Because
keep trying.
You know, some are more fitness focused, where they're doing more fast pace or more focused on poses and holding. Some are more intentional setting, more mind focused, more breathing, things like that. So you really do have to try different classes and levels of experience.
Yeah, and I've had people that I know absolutely love me and they come to all my classes, and I've also had people come to me after class and be like, you're the worst. Like, I hated your class. I'm like, thank you.
Well, you enjoy your journey and healing and fuck the right fuck up.
Mm-hmm.
I am number one instructor in 904. I don't know if you know that or not.
Do you want to see my? Did you get a trophy or a T-shirt or something?
Yeah, what'd you get? What did you?
A little frame, so my boss made me like a big frame
How
kind of thing.
cute.
And I was like, what am I gonna do with this?
Listen,
This
I
is
wear
my
a
bag.
fucking badge.
very
I'd be
sweet.
like, I'm 904.
Number one.
I
We're gonna
actually
make you a badge.
really hated. So my friends are like the most sarcastic people in the world. They're like, we're making buttons next year and T-shirts, and we're gonna get people to vote. I'm like, shut up.
When's the voting? 'Cause we
Yeah,
need to-
I mean,
I
I'm
mean,
gonna
I try
vote
not
for
to
you.
look. It wasn't like really intentional. I wasn't like, I'm gonna win.
No, when's the voting this year? Did we already pass
I
it?
have no idea.
I feel like we
I
should
don't-
link that also.
I do have one question. This is highly inappropriate, so I'm sorry. Hashtag not sorry. Has anyone ever queefed in your class?
Yes.
Okay.
Many
Okay.
times.
Queef?
All the time.
Like vagina farts?
Yeah.
What kind of shit are you doing in there?
Well, I mean, they're like moving.
Did
When
you
you're-
queef?
No, I mean, I have to I'm like, I'm not going to do that in here. It's just like when you're in downward dog and stuff,
Oh,
I
we're-
feel like you can.
It happens a lot when people come into inversions. I mean, it's just like a thing that happens. People fart in class.
The
People
the first time I ever took yoga. my
Let's hear it.
friend Amanda's gonna die. The first time I ever took yoga, because she's like, go take yoga. She like,
Let's just
She
put
put-
this in the YouTube.
essential oils into everything, and she's like, go
Into the
take yoga.
vagina?
Into, I don't even know if she does. But I went to take a yoga class and I farted so loud. My first class, literally ripped ass, and then I could not stop laughing. So they kicked me out.
Embarrassing
They kicked
story.
me out. They kicked me
Oh.
out because I couldn't stop. Like,
I probably would have kicked you out too.
I could not stop laughing. I stopped. And I was like, all right, bye. Well, that was fun.
Here's the question too: how can you tell if it's queefing or farting?
I mean, one comes out of your asshole and one just through your vagina.
It's kind of like you can't control the queef; like it just comes out. You know what I mean?
Can you control a fart?
Yeah, you can stop it, kind of.
Not when you're in upside down downward dog pose.
Is that a pose? Gonna call that next time.
Out of control, guys. Thank you again for listening today. We hope you felt inspired and educated by Tiffany's story in one way or another.
Don't forget to check out all of our resources, which we will link. I took extensive notes on all the things.
Yes, and we will link Tiffany's Instagram and also Titanium Yoga, where she manages and works at, so you guys have access.
Yeah, any resources that we have on the sound healing and things like
And you
resources that Tiffany
can
talked
reach
about
out,
this
and
evening.
if you have any questions, for sure.
Self-work, all that fun stuff.
Again, if you guys have any topics you want us to talk about or discuss, we are open to. So please don't be afraid to reach out to us on our website and Instagram.
We want to hear from you. We love your
Yeah.
feedback, and we're so excited Tiffany was able to join us
Yes,
tonight.
thank you
Thank
for
you so
coming.
much. You brought so much conversation
You
and
did.
fun and education and just knowledge that some people don't have access to. So I really appreciate you coming
Yes,
and
thanks
talking
for
with us,
having
even
me.
though it's like midnight because we record at night. We're gonna go out, get some food, drinks.
Yeah. So once again, thank you for listening to Naked with Socks. where we
assess the mess
with finesse.